up, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Weekly Windup with Bales and Tales with your boys, P Dog and BG, here to spit some cricketing buzz at you. Boy, oh boy, it's been another record setting week with the IPL. 200 was breached in almost every other innings that you saw. We saw some magnificent hundreds and some echoes of DRS manipulation. As usual, the IPL brought the action, and we are excited to share it with you. If you like what we do, show us some love and give this video a like and subscribe to our channel, Bales and Tales. If you don't quite think we're there yet, it's all good. We're glad that you're here, so buckle up and let's dive in. Let's look at the points table and how it looks at the end of this week's action. Future P, cue the points table. So we're at the midway stage of the tournament right now, and the table is shaping up pretty juicily as it normally does at this stage of the IPL. Fourth place is only separated by net run rate between three teams. LSG is pulled alongside CSK by beating them at home. GT has a win and a loss also this week, also on 8 points. But their net run rate took a huge hit this week with their game against DC, leaving it even worse off than RCB, who are at the bottom. Some might say rock bottom. Hopefully this is rock bottom. RR cemented their position at the top with their win against KKR. And while MI and DC had a mixed week, both got a win and a loss, and they're still at the bottom half of the table. Punjab had a week to forget, but I think, BG, the biggest talking point this week is surely SRH. They snatched the third spot from CSK with two mammoth wins, 553 runs scored in 40 overs that they batted over the two games. Three of the top four innings now scored in the IPL belong to SRH. All of them scored this season. It would seem that the IPL is hosting a banquet for the batsmen, and everyone's giving SRH the side eye because they're just being ravenous. Leave some for Cam Green, Travis. Travis Head smashed his 100 in 39 deliveries against RCB. Signed it off with a pretty iconic celebration as well. With the head. There was no respect for the bowlers. Klaasen continued his fine form, scored 67 of 31. Abdul Samad with a cameo at the end, 37 not out of just 10 balls. Markram and Abhishek Sharma underperformed a little bit, just got 30s at a strike rate of only 50, 150 plus. You could do a little better. It was a harrowing nightmare, though, for all the RCB bowlers. Saurabh Chauhan dropped a catch off the last ball of the innings of Abdul Samad. Really symbolic of their night, really. RCB in reply made a commendable effort. Fantastic start from both Virat and Faf. Virat was castled by Markande while attempting to keep the scoring up. Will Jacks got run out in possibly the most unlucky ways to get out in cricket at the non-striker's end after Unadkat got a touch to Faf slap back down the ground. But DK's innings, right, spared RCB fans some blushes. 83 of just 35 balls, special knock. DK has placed his name in the hat for wicket-keeper batsman of the Indian side. Rohit may have been playfully taunting him in the game against MI, but I think these performances are kind of a taunt to Ajit Agarkar, telling the selectors, leave me out if you dare. 549 runs were scored in this game, highest that's ever been scored in a game of cricket in the T20 format. This has sparked a lot of discussion about whether, where the direction of this game is going in this format, from the size of the grounds to the way bats are being made today, fielding restrictions, impact subs, everything seems to be favored towards the batsman. Professor BG, I want to know what you think about all of these talks.
Yeah, it's simply incredible. This IPL has thrown out some absolutely insane run fests, and the fact that Hyderabad have been able to hit, what was it, 3 of the 5 highest T20 scores ever recorded this edition goes to show you just how easy it is for batters at the moment. Bowlers have very little respite and, are often left flummoxed with what lengths to bowl. Wherever they bowl, batsmen seem to have an answer. So it really becomes what are the solutions that the cricketing boards can employ to ensure that bowlers have a larger say in how cricketing matches pan out, right? So I think, as you discussed, there are a couple of solutions possible. One is maybe extending the ground size by about 5 to 7 meters, just to make it that much harder to clear, the boundaries. And even if they're able to do it at that point, you just got to take your hat off and say, well played. Another way is giving them more protection via, fielding restrictions, wherein maybe in the power plays you ensure that there's one more fielder that they get to employ on the boundaries, so they have that much more protection. And another way is obviously in the way they curate pitches. I think it's safe to say that most pitches that we've seen this IPL have actually been pretty docile, and there hasn't been a lot going on for the bowlers and batsmen. As a result, have found it a lot easier, to clear the infield because of fielding restrictions, and also to trust the true nature of some of these pitches. Maybe barring the Chipok, right, where it continues to be very difficult for batsmen to truly get going and master the conditions. So it's a bit of a dilemma at the moment. I don't quite think bats are going to get any weaker. Bats are incredibly strong these days, to the point where top edges are sailing over third man and sailing over fine leg for sixes. So it's a tough sport for bowlers out there right now. I do definitely sympathize with them. But having said that, there are definitely a couple of changes that we should be looking at in order to ensure that it's a lot more equitable for both parties.
Yeah, definitely agree. I think like if you talk about the big games where there were a lot of runs scored, right? Like the anomaly was the Chris Gale RCB knock, right? Like it was just that one off, and it was just one team that kind of got lucky. But now we're seeing like teams chasing big scores and getting close. So there is a shift. It's undeniable that it's getting there's a shift towards entertainment, I think people would say. But I think we need to find ways to entertain with the ball as well. Meanwhile, Travis Head ruined DC's return to the Arun Jaitley Stadium. Another Man of the Match award, helping SRH post yet another 250 plus score. Abhishek Sharma added to the carnage with a 46, striking at almost 400. Um, some brilliant spells, actually, though, from Kuldeep and Aksar. Kuldeep picking up four of the top order batsmen. He did go for a few, but picked up very crucial wickets. Aksar going only for 29 in his four, picking up the wicket of the dangerous Klaasen. Again, valiant effort from DC chasing. Fraser McGurk, 22-year-old Victorian cricketer, scored a 15 ball 50. Eventually, just holding out to the deep in the deep. Customary good knock from Rishabh Pant, to everyone's muted delight in a losing cause. But T. Natarajan had a fantastic spell, only 19 in his 4 overs, cleaning up the tail with 4 wickets. SRH now go on to play the reverse fixture against RCB at home, and then they travel to Chepauk to face CSK next week. It would seem that one of these fixtures is easier than the other. If it's anything like this week, we're in for some great viewing. Any last thoughts on this SRH outfit? They look pretty formidable, BG.
No, they sure do. And I think what we're seeing with SRH is purely a result of the think tank and Pat Cummins really coming together at the beginning of the season, saying we definitely need to reevaluate the way we've approached, the previous seasons. So for context, I think between 2021 and 2023, SRH won 13 out of the 42 games. So simply put, it was not good enough, and they needed to rethink the way they approach these games. And so now it looks like they've gone into seasons with this season with the fearless batting approach. All guns blazing from get go, no holding back, and they've all bought into the approach, which is obviously one of the most important things, right? When you're looking for the team to succeed, right? They've gotten buy-in right from the top. Head and Abhishek Sharma have given them, I think brisk is an understatement. They've given them rollicking starts. I think in the match against DC, they were 125 for no loss in 6 overs. I mean, the commentators were in disbelief. No hyperbole will do this any sense of justice. But it's nice to see that they've completely turned around the way they play their cricket. And it's no coincidence that they're notching the scores that they have. And it really makes for entertaining viewing. So long may it continue.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, very interesting point with their switch in tactics from being a strong bowling side to a batting side. It's definitely made for more interesting viewing. So, is SRH purely the team shifting the game in a certain way? It sure seems that way right now, right? Um, let's take a quick look at Delhi, though. So Delhi has shown signs of promise. They've been taken to the cleaners on a few occasions. They did also talk some trash on Twitter that didn't age well. They got a taste of sweet revenge from the Mumbai Twitter page. It was quite literal in a way. Um, it's not been a great season, all in all. They've been a little unlucky here and there with like injuries. Like Kuldeep was out for 3 games. I think they missed him pretty dearly during those games. Two of them went for over 500 with KKR and MI, who they've been trash talking. But this is a pretty good team on paper, right? Like they made some good signings in Tristan Stubbs, Fraser McGurk, all at base price. They have the likes of Warner and Shai Hope, great spinners with Kuldeep and Aksar, a bunch of decent quicks as well, led by a very reliable or able Rishabh Pant, who has been like working himself back into form rather quickly, you'd have to say. Like, what do you think's up with the balance of this squad? What's going on there?
No, I think so. To your point, Pranav, they've definitely seemingly gotten all bases covered. They do have, strengths, and they do have, certain weaknesses. I think the biggest problem for them, though, so far this season, we might be nitpicking, but in the grand scheme of things, maybe the form of David Warner and Prithvi Shaw, who have been opening for them. It could probably be a little better for sure. I think Warner has scored 167 runs at an average of just 24. And this is something that as IPL fans we're not used to, because we've always known Warner for piling on the runs at extremely high averages, and he's always struck at 150 plus strike rate. That's also gone down to about 130 odd. Prithvi Shaw played a couple of useful knocks, but you would think that you could expect more from somebody of Prithvi Shaw's potential. The positives have been Fraser McGurk and Tristan Stubbs, to your point. Fraser McGurk, just the 3 innings, but incredible talent. Look forward to seeing him, in the Australian team set up for a long time, hopefully. He's shown his positive intent right from the get-go as well. He's hit 140 runs in 3 innings, and he's hit 250s, but it's the strike rate at which he's doing so, 222. Very small sample of innings, I know, but I think it's nice to see his fearless approach and him not sort of backing down regardless of the pedigree of the bowler he faces, right? And so that bodes well for Delhi, hopefully moving forward. And Tristan Stubbs as well is another success story in the making. He's actually been the most prolific batter. No, I actually stand corrected. It's actually been Rishabh Pant. But having said that, Tristan Stubbs has done it at a much higher strike rate of 180. So to be able to do that and average 50 is highly, highly commendable. So that's a success story for them. And it's nice to see Rishabh Pant obviously back in the field as well. It's always great to see people come back from what seemed to be nearly tragic at that point, right? So that's something that's going well for Delhi. And bowling wise, I think the biggest success story for them has been Kuldeep Yadav. And to your point, it was important that he stayed fit, in that middle period where they sorely missed him, because it's actually the spinners who've been able to control things in the middle order. Kuldeep's taken 10 wickets at an average of 15 and an economy rate of just 7.7. And remember, that takes into consideration the shellacking he got at the hands of the SRH batsman the other day, despite taking 4 wickets. And Aksar Patel as well. Not that many wickets, but containment has been fantastic. 6.82 economy rate, give him his flowers. The Indian bowlers, I think one tricky thing, though, I have to add, maybe not related to Delhi, but we probably need to reevaluate what we consider to be, a good bowling performance in this IPL, given that runs are being scored at will. Previously we would probably think that an economy rate of 9 would comparatively speaking, be on the expensive side. But for all practical purposes, those are pretty good returns, right? This IPL. For context, 8.8 was the average, was the economy rate, was the run rate of batsmen in the last IPL edition, and so far that has moved to 9.4. So that's a zero point 0.6 increase from one season to the other. So we need to kind of reevaluate what we consider as a good performance from a bowling standpoint. And the Indian bowlers have definitely chipped in with wickets. Khalil with 10, Mukesh Kumar with 9, and Ishant Sharma as well. So, yep.
Yeah, pretty good team all in all. Interesting strategy, right? With like foreigners, I think the IPL normally unearths a lot of like Indian talent that's relatively unknown, and it's interesting that that's kind of happening even with like foreign cricketers as well. I think that's an interesting trend that we're seeing, particularly with this edition, I believe. Let me go quickly over their earlier game this week as well, Delhi. So Delhi was playing GT at the Narendra Modi Stadium, and they made pretty quick work of their batting, skittling them out for only 89, the lowest total by a team this IPL, the 28th lowest total of all time in the IPL. So there have been a lot of low totals, but only five of those those 28 came after the IPL season of 2020. Is it more of a batsman's game in recent years? It certainly seems so, right? Um, Good overall bowling performance from the DC bowlers, of course. Mukesh picking up three, Ishant Sharma and Tristan Stubbs getting two apiece. DC really romped to that total in 8.5 overs, dealing a massive blow to Gujarat's net run rate, which could be very crucial later in the season. Um, DC play the reverse fixture against GT at home next week. They have another home game against Mumbai later in the week. There's always a little tension between those two great cities, but it's a little heightened with the back and forth online. So definitely looking forward to that one. Um, let's take a slight pivot and talk about Punjab Kings for a second. So Punjab Kings have had an interesting season, right? Like they've chased down 200 against GT. They've done it the most number of times in the IPL. Lost to RCB, the only game that RCB has managed to win. Lost an extremely close game to SRH. Gave RR some trouble while chasing a low score. And then this week they lost to MI in a game that they almost had in the bag, right? MI gets a decent score on a tricky Mulanpur wicket. Sky scored a tame 78 of 53 balls, only by his standards, tame. Rohit Sharma and Tilak Verma get good runs as well. Great death bowling by Harshal Patel, giving only 6 runs in the last over, getting 3 wickets, which included a run out, but he ended up with figures of 3 of 31 in 4 overs. Um, Now, as it seems with all Punjab games, right? Like the chase is the interesting part, and this is another peculiar one. Early wickets, courtesy Bumrah and Kotse in the Punjab innings. Ishan Kishan with a flying catch. Riley Russo brought into the squad instead of Bairstow. Welcome to the IPL with a Bumrah scorcher. That delivery was just a work of art from the bowling maestro. You talked about run rates and things like that, and what's considered good now. I believe his is below six, maybe, or in the 6 to 7 marks of fantastic. I don't know. Words can't describe what he's been doing. But Punjab was stumbling at 77 for six at this point, and they were carried by a familiar pair, right? Yeah, you guessed it, Shashank Singh and Ashutosh Sharma. Um, Different kind of chase, right? Had to stitch the innings together. But that Ashutosh Sharma innings was one of pure class and epitomized by his scoop of Bumrah's toe crusher for six. I don't know who does that. That's definitely one for the bank. Um, but he manages to get Punjab into an equation of 25 from 18, which you would expect almost any team to get. But Kotse crucially gets him out in that 17th over, or 18th over rather. And they just don't have the batters to get them over the line, right? Getting all out 9 runs short. Um, it's such a sort of enigmatic team in a way with their performances, right? BG, like how would you sum up this team?
Yeah, it's just incredibly. It's a team that's incredibly difficult to predict, as you put it. They lost to the worst franchise in the IPL, at least as per what the points table would indicate. But they're also capable of taking anyone on, at their own game and beating them. The fact that they've taken arguably 80% of their games to the final over says it's never quite over until it's over. But both ways, in terms of them taking the L or them getting the win. But I think where they are finding things to be slightly challenging is on the batting front, right? Where they tend to lose wickets relatively early and they kind of find themselves behind the eight ball until the famous duo of Shashank Singh and Ashutosh Sharma enter the fray. This Mumbai match, to your point, was no different. 77 for six after 10 overs, but this was a bit of a different situation for Ashutosh Sharma because Ashutosh Sharma has been somebody who's entered usually with about 5 overs to spare, right? And typically when they're chasing. So, for instance, against Gujarat, they needed 50 off 27, and he hit a brilliant 33 off 15, and he was unbeaten as well. And him and Shashank Singh saw the chase home. Against RunRisers Hyderabad as well, in that incredible chase, 69 off 27. They took it to the final over where they were basically written off because they needed about 29 or so. But Jaydev Unadkat single-handedly almost lost the match for SRH, and large part of that was because of the heroics of Ashutosh and Shashank. They lost by 2 runs. And then now, this was the first time where Ashutosh Sharma, for instance, actually entered where he needed to kind of build the innings a little bit and then see it home, right? And played with incredible composure. Again, that sweep of Bumrah on that free hit ball over deep square leg. Incredible shot. He actually speaks about how his idols are Surya Kumar Yadav and Glenn Maxwell. That was a shot Surya Kumar Yadav would have definitely been proud of, and he did play a couple of reverse laps that Glenn Maxwell obviously would have been proud of as well. So fair play to him for that. And the Shashank Singh story is well documented now, given the uproar around which he was wrongly chosen by Punjab. He's done his talking with the bat. 195 runs at an average of 49 at a strike rate of 168. Incredible numbers, and I would argue that him and Ashutosh have been sort of the sole success stories of Punjab this season. Everybody else has obviously chipped in from time to time. Sam Curran and Arshdeep have taken wickets and they've conceded at an economy rate less than what you would consider this edition to be expensive, but consider to be expensive in this edition. But I think it's really been the Shashank Singh and Ashutosh Sharma show, and I think the unpredictability is made for incredible viewing if you're a neutral.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, these guys really, deserve their flowers. Great signs for Indian cricket. In the last game of the week, Punjab played GT at home, won the toss and chose to bat this time. Right, decided to switch it up. Sam Curran and Prabhsimran Singh get them off to a good start, which is also generally not a Punjab thing. But the Afghani spin wizards Rashid and Noor come in to literally rip a hole through their lineup, which they weren't really able to recover from. But Mr. Consistent with the ball, Harpreet Brar, scored a 29 of 12 balls and really took them to, a total that wasn't really that competitive, but got them to something, I guess, somewhat respectable, which was just 142. And could they make that competitive? Yes, they can. They were playing the Titans without Hardik Pandya. Somehow the equation got to 36 of 22. They were chasing just 142, mind you. But Rahul Tewatia plays an extremely good innings. Scored 36 not out of 18 balls and took them home with a whole over to spare. So I think Rahul Tewatia might get overlooked a lot because he doesn't look like the fittest player. But that is a really good batsman right there. So maybe.
Also, yeah. Also, shout out, by the way, quick shout out to Sai Kishore, who finally came back into the fray after sitting out a couple of matches, and he actually took 4 wickets also. So, in addition to the Afghani spinners sort of stymieing the Kings 11 Punjab Kings, I should say, Sai Kishore really grabbed his chance with 4 wickets and a man of the match performance too.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Missed like the main highlight with that one. Thanks, PG. Punjab play just one game next week, traveling to Eden Gardens to face KKR. You'd think the odds are kind of in favor of KKR for that one, but can't count out this Punjab team for sure. But speaking of KKR, right, the Knight Riders came up against the league leaders in a clash worthy of the table toppers, right? In a game of margins literally as thin as they come, 224 was chased down off the last ball of the game. In the first innings, KKR lose Phil Salt pretty early to a blinder of a catch. Avesh Khan, flexing his reflexes, plucks one out of the air off his own bowling. At this point, KKR are 22 for 1 in the fourth over. And what follows, I think, is really what makes this tournament so great. Sunil Narine takes Ashwin and Chahal, veterans of the IPL and T20 cricket, to the cleaners, scoring his first 100 in only 49 deliveries. An incredible knock. The first man to have 100 and also a 5 wicket haul to his name. He was ably supported by a young Indian name that's also come to the fore this time, Ankush Raghuvanshi. Great little knock from him early on. And Rinku Singh put the finishing touches to post like a great first innings total of 223. Um, Rajasthan get off to a good start, but they lose Jaiswal and Samson pretty early. Samson's been a huge part, so that was definitely a big blow. Parag comes in and plays a brisk innings of 34 from only 14 balls, returning KKR some of the beating that they dished out. But he perishes, and then Jurel, Ashwin, and Hetmeyer follow in quick succession. Rajasthan are 121 for 5 at this stage, but some real power hitting and some slices of luck for both Joss Buttler and Robman Powell get Rajasthan innings back on track. Even after some lusty blows from Powell just before he departs, RR still needed 46 from 3 overs to win the game, more than 15 an over. And JB says, no problem. It's just enough time for me to work through the cramps, score 100, play a few dot balls the last over, and take RR home. Not his most fluent innings by far, but the composure towards the end, man. That was a masterclass in finishing against the odds. RR is, we've been talking about this entire time, they're quite the juggernaut now with the momentum that they have going behind them. It was a disappointing loss for KKR, but a lot of positives for them to take from that game, right? And so far in the tournament as well, PG.
No, absolutely. I think, the chase can almost happen to any team. It was just a Joss Butler special. And the one thing I will say, though, about Joss Butler is he's very good at understanding the right bowlers to target, right? And so what was nice to see in that innings was he targeted, some of the bowlers who were bowling extremely wayward lengths. And when he needed ample support to kind of get Sunil Narine away, Rahman Powell was able to come in and hit 16 off that Sunil Narine over, which really helped calm him down relatively. One thing I will add, by the way, is that Avish Khan's celebration when he scored absolutely no runs, but then he ran the pitch like he had won them the match. Anyway, getting back to KKR, no, I think KKR is another example of a team that's seen contributions all across the order, right? We're seeing the best batting Sunil Narine has possibly ever exhibited in the IPL, the best batting season he's ever exhibited, right? Not necessarily in terms of overall runs scored, although he's definitely approaching that. So here's your stat. He's scored 286 runs at an average of 40 so far. Not bad for somebody who's just expected to go cream the ball at the top with not too much expectations, huh? And, with 100 and a 50 and at a strike rate of 177, mind you. So it's safe to say that experiment has worked, right? And Phil Salt as well. Not many people had heard of him necessarily before this, right? But he's been more than capable support to Narine. Usually I would say it's the other way around. But Phil Salt's also not chipped in, but he's scored about 250 odd runs this time around at a strike rate of 170 as well. And so it's the fast starts again. Just like how we, lauded SRH for the same, I think KKR have always managed to get quick starts, which has helped their case, right? Ankush Raghuvanshi, again, his first season, exciting young prospect, a couple of quick fire knocks where he's really exhibited his talent, and he's definitely a name to look out for in the future. A couple of other call outs though I have Andre Russell, right? We all know what he's capable of with the bat, scores runs at an absolutely electrifying pace. And he's done that this year as well. 185 strike rate coming at the bottom of the order, lower middle order, if you will. And bowling though, let's talk about his bowling. He's taken 9 wickets this time around at an average of 14. And so he's chipped in when the team has needed wickets. And so that's highly positive news for KKR as well. But, everybody has made a contribution in a given situation or in a given match, right? And that's why they kind of find themselves at the top of the order, or at the top of the table, I should say. The only thing to look out for is Mitchell Starc's form,
Mhm.
because I mean this was somebody I mean a lot was expected of Mitchell Starc because of the money he went for, and obviously because of the pedigree, right, the man has. But it's been a fairly unrewarding IPL so far for him. 6 wickets. He's given 287 runs, and his economy though is at 11.48, which are not numbers you would typically associate with one of the world's premier fast bowlers, right? But the good news for KKR, there is, a couple of local bowlers have made up for it. Vaibhav Arora and Harshit Rana have more than compensated, right, for the lack of wickets Starc has taken. They've taken 7 and 9 respectively, and their economy rates are under 9.5 and over. And so they've always been able to compensate in some ways for whatever faults they have, which is why they find themselves where they are.
Yeah, absolutely. KKR with that win definitely putting themselves firmly, at the top of the table. I still feel like I have to eat my words about Sunil Narayan that I made in episode one. For you out there, go check out episode one. But KKR also opened Super Sunday, and BG, you alluded to a lot of performances from this game as well. But for whoever hasn't watched the game, here's a quick rundown of like the events. So they were taking on a team that, in the interest of keeping the result a suspense, I won't name them. Phil Salt took 28 of one Lockie Ferguson over, giving KKR a brisk start. KKR scored a good rate throughout the innings but kept losing wickets. Shreyas Iyer in this case played an anchor role, a captain's role, as he watched Rinku Singh and Venkatesh Iyer hit some lusty blows before they both perished. Um, he got into the act later, though, before Faf took a fantastic catch in the deep to dismiss him. Cam Green took a great catch as well, I guess, if we're talking about inconsequential catches. Um, RCB, oh, oops, were hoping to restrict KKR to about 200, but Ramandeep Singh had other ideas. He seemed to pick up the pace of the wicket like immediately and tonked the tail for 24 of 9 balls to give KKR a pretty formidable total of 222 at the Gardens. In reply, RCB in their Earth Day green lose Virat and Faf early. The waist-high no-ball technology probably needs to be revisited. Let's just say that.
Contentious
Uh,
decision. Yeah.
Venkatesh Iyer did take a good catch, though. Uh, but this was about Will Jack and Rajat Patidar, who played some pretty sublime knocks, some gargantuan sixes, expertly setting up the chase, really. Unfortunately for RCB, they both perish in short succession. The equation was very doable at this point, 85 runs from 50 balls. But then RCB does RCB things. Green and Lomror go cheaply. DK tries to take them to the end, playing with the tail, but fails at the end with them needing 21 runs of the last over. Karan Sharma then does something remarkable, takes Mitchell Starc for 3 sixes, leaving them to get 3 in the last 2. And then, in typical fashion for this team, Karan gets out the next ball, pushing one back to Mitchell Starc's hands. KKR get home with a desperation run off the last ball, leaving RCB 2 runs short. It was an exhilarating game, sending one team flying high and the other pretty much a footnote in this year's tournament, right? Um, so KKR look to be in a really good position now with that win, and they only have Punjab to play next week. That should be a game that I think that they would favor, considering it's at home. But let's look at some of the other games. What do we have, BG? I think that's just the one, right?
Yeah, the CSK LSG game. Yeah, so that was a victory for the LSG. It was a fairly comfortable victory in the end. This match was played at Lucknow, and so CSK batted first, and on what was a pretty good pitch, right? Yeah, for batting, they lost Rachin Ravindra early. Mohsin Khan with a good delivery that beat him, went through the gate. First bowler for Rachin Ravindra, and that set them back. Ruturaj Gaikwad quickly followed, but then there was a bit of consolidation from Ajinkya Rahane and Ravindra Jadeja. Jadeja with a very patient 50, but in retrospect, maybe he could have upped the ante a little bit as the innings progressed. But you could also argue that he didn't get the requisite support he needed. to really let loose, because the middle order low key collapsed around him. Shivam Dubey with a rare failure, Samir Rizvi as well. Stumped off Krunal Pandya. But then Moin Ali came into the picture, and a couple of late blows, with quick fire 30 really helped prop that CSK total up until the entry of the main man himself, Mr. MS Dhoni, who played a ridiculously good cameo of 28 off 9 towards the end. Again, he attacked Yash Thakur and Mohsin Khan and was able to propel CSK as a result to 176 in 20 overs, which was always going to be a competitive total. Maybe not in the grand scheme of what we've seen this IPL, but definitely a total that the CSK bowlers would have felt was reasonably competitive. And then, going into the chase, Quinton de Kock and KL Rahul got off to a flyer as well. Quinton de Kock was definitely a little more circumspect, as KL Rahul was the one who played the role of the aggressor. And they were really able to get off to a good, very solid, comfortable start. They reached 134 for no loss after 15 overs, and they just always looked in control of the chase. They did lose Quinton de Kock, and they lost KL Rahul to an absolutely incredible catch by Ravindra Jadeja, one-hand catch. But it was just too little too late, and once it was just too little too late. And at the end, Nicholas Puran with a couple of lusty hits towards the end was able to see Lucknow through comfortably. And good news for Lucknow fans.
Absolutely, yeah. CSK plays Lucknow in the reverse fixture next week. And they also have a game against SRH, both at the Chepauk. So they must be really drooling at the opportunity to get those both wins. Stat pad, as you would say, BG. MST somehow seems like he's put his name in the T20 squad cap again.
We can't do that.
I have no idea what's going on, but it feels like you have to seriously consider it. But let us know what you think, actually. As a viewer, I mean, not BG, not Professor BG on this occasion. But on that note, thank you all for watching. If you like this video, give us a like and a subscribe to Bales and Tales. We have a lot more coming to you from this IPL and beyond. Leave us a comment. Who do you think is winning this IPL? What did you think of our review this week? Are we going to see more run fests? I certainly hope so. But with that said, we hope you have a great week and tune into all the cricketing action. And if you don't, catch it here with us at Bales and Tales. See you next week. Peace.